Welcome back to another episode of Twinfluence, where we talk about all things AI. And today we're going to have a conversation around what our go-to is, what we keep coming back to, what we use every day in our worlds of education, real estate business, or business. But before we move on, don't forget to subscribe.
Okay. So before we actually decided to do this, we were talking about just where we are in using ChatGPT, like OpenAI's platform. And what I have found, even in my own industry, is that the education system, and I mean like from birth to like 12th grade, has embraced it, but they haven't embraced it. So, for example, in the United States, and I'm looking at these stats, about a third of US college students, young adults, not universities, the students themselves will use ChatGPT for their academics. Even if professors are like, if you use it, you're cheating. Well, but then we have the workforce, 41% of certain professions use ChatGPT, like specifically marketing professionals, because it'll rewrite everything for you. And then financial advisors will use it because it'll find all the stats for you, especially if you are trading or you want to learn how to save money, and it'll create spreadsheets for you and all the things. But there is a disparity. Men will use ChatGPT more than women. That's a thing.
Interesting.
Right? But I've seen and heard in like situations in education or at conferences where men will freely talk about ChatGPT as a partner. Like you and I have talked about using ChatGPT as a brainstorm buddy, as a partner. Like it is our thing. And it is my hope that women will embrace it because it will help you. There's this idea that, oh no, it's going to make you dumber. No, it's made us smarter. It's made us faster. It helps me not waste time. But here's one factor that I think people don't really know. The younger workers are more likely to embrace ChatGPT. It's like the younger generation who embrace Google and the internet and the World Wide Web and all the things like that. But for every age that somebody is older, it's about a 0.7% disparity, meaning the older you are, the less likely you are to use it. Which brings me back to why aren't we helping our younger children, like in Japan at age 3, using ChatGPT so they can master it? Because, the brain can learn anything. And you know this because you watched your own children become proficient, efficient, and thinkers in Spanish and English because they were in dual immersion. AI is a language, and we're not letting people do this. So, and I say this because globally, like in December of 2024, because in November of 2022 is when ChatGPT started. 300 million weekly active users within the United States, leading the user traffic at 17.7%, followed by India at 8.41%. So we're leading the world, but we're only 17% of the users. There's like, who else is using it and why? And the idea of what demographics are using it, the haves and the have-nots. The haves are going to use it because they embrace technology, they're the innovators, they're the early adopters. And then there's this disparity of, even if you're in business and you believe what other people think, like I love Mel Robbins with let them think whatever you want to think, or they want to think about you, use it so it makes you better, like that. I mean, I'm sure you want to kind of touch on the male female thing and then the age factor. So I'll just let you just think
Well,
about that.
we could literally, that could be a whole nother discussion. But here's what's interesting when you started to talk about it. It reminded me of a conversation I had yesterday with in the real estate space, we have different buckets, right? We've got title companies, we've got lenders, we've got attorneys, we've got real estate agents, we've got transaction managers, we've got administrative assistants, we've got the multiple listing service, we got the local association, we got state association, we got the national association, we've got it all. And there was one bucket yesterday. I was having a conversation with someone, and the conversation went like this. Carrie, we have people in our offices that keep coming up with, this is how we could use AI. And they're like, nope, we're not doing it. And I said, well, let me tell you, someone else is in your same bucket. So if you won't pause and make a decision to figure out how to integrate it. So you're
Mhm.
the leader, and make it ethically capable to do. And I'm cautious about what I say, because then the person would know that that's the bucket. If you don't become the leader in whatever bucket it is, someone's going to dominate, and they're going to do it faster than you.
Okay, so with that, remember Montgomery Ward and Sears? And they created their, I'm gonna use the word obsolescence. They became, people were telling them what they needed to do. Like you're clearly telling people to practice and play in the ChatGPT sandbox, the playground. And people would tell Montgomery Ward, we go to Montgomery Ward and we ask people for help, and they're like, I can't, I have to fold these shirts. But you're in the business of selling the shirts, but you won't help me buy the shirt. So they went out of business. Sears did the same thing. J.C. Penney listens. You go into J.C. Penney and you feel like, oh, I might want to buy that, even though it's, our age group is like, who's J.C. Penney? But the younger age group will go in there and be just fine with buying it because they listened to the world. They listened to, what can we do to change to make this appealing? And how can we use this information to change what we're doing in the future? And that's what ChatGPT is doing. And people aren't embracing it. They are just being left behind.
So yeah, we'll come back and talk about that. With that being said, if you're listening to this now and you're like, oh, that could be a great conversation, tell us in the feed. Tell us, are you using ChatGPT? Are you using Copilot? Google Gemini? What are you using? Are you using it? What are you using it for? And are you educating your team, your staff, your space on the what, the why, and the how? So, Mina, so what do you find yourself going back to when it comes to
Okay.
ChatGPT? And maybe you ought to show us what's new with OpenAI.
So I'm glad you asked. So this looks like ChatGPT. This is this is my ChatGPT. This is the sidebar. This is the new chat. These are the types of different GPTs. You can feel overwhelmed with that, but basically you click on it and you ask it something like it's a prompt. This is OpenAI's platform who runs ChatGPT. But you notice the similarities, kind of like glasses, one or two, like it looks the same. So they put all of their information that used to be at the top up here on the left. It's all the same information, but they're now using the GPT, kind of like go GPT it, go chat GPT it, go chat it, go Google it. Because the moment you show up, it is now a search engine. Like,
And here's what's
said
interesting.
it. Go.
I wasn't even thinking about the fact that they moved. It's like a website, and because when you log into, if you went to my company website, all my tabs are at the top. They just changed the narrative.
Yeah.
They
They,
made
and
it look like their platform, so the user is going to use their website platform as they use ChatGPT.
so, first of
Interesting.
all, well, what I wanted to point out, this because it's quick. You click on research, it gives you, it does the same thing as the sidebar. So if I click on my sidebar and I want to go to any of my GPTs or my projects, it does the same thing. It opens it up. If I go, let me just go back here and show you, like it gives me research, it gives me research overview, it gives me the different GPTs and goes over them. Remember, I showed you drop down. You're like, I don't know what these things are. Well, you can go here and go to the research and figure out what they really mean because it'll go into depth for you. You can go back home. What I really like is if I go to GPT here, it now will give me how to use it, how the world is using it to explore, how you can team, who are they teaming with?
Wait a minute, back up. Stop. Don't go. Listen. You do. They're
I just,
teaming with Duolingo.
I know, right.
I was
So
like, wait. I was like,
wait a minute. So you say that, and I'm telling you right now, I created a project in here so that I could learn I can start practicing other languages. So I created my own project folder, and I got to find it because it says language somewhere. Um, It's in here somewhere. So basically it can teach you, here it is, learning languages over here. So I gave it a prompt. It's very specific and it taught me how to say things and it talks to me in the car. You say Duolingo, if it's partnering with them and using them as a on the back end, like the programming language, that which is I'm intrigued because you keep seeing it's changing, like all their partners.
But you need to go. Well, now I'm my next. I'm gonna go
Uh-huh.
figure this out and make it a. I'm gonna go make the project. I'm gonna go look up Duolingo, how they're partnering with ChatGPT, because even yesterday I was at a wedding and they had two officiants. One spoke in English, one spoke in all Spanish, and I literally understood the entire ceremony in Spanish because I've been using it every single day and completing an entire lesson. So I could probably take it to the next level.
And talk to ChatGPT. Like in the car, it'll slow down for me, teach me the sounds of the alphabet of this language, things like that. I was like, so okay, so we don't get caught in that. Let me just explain to you that it has enterprises redefine work in the age of AI. It talks about security and privacy and all the enterprises that they're partnering with. They have other things down here that you can play with. Talks about their workflow, but the one I want to point out is this one right here, education. The reason why is because I've said that in the past education systems tend to be 10 to 15 years behind. There's like this decade of knowledge that's lost because there's a belief that if we do this, then it will make students cheat. New York schools in 2022, even recently, LA schools are like, we don't want students to cheat. So they're focused so much on the one thing that's going to make them cheat, they remove it from them instead of saying, well, how can we teach children how to use it so that they become ethical? It's like Google. Back in the day, kids were like copy, cut, and pasting, throwing it in Microsoft Word, and all the teachers knew they cheated because it have a hyperlink. That's what we need to do. Even in companies need to create policies and guides to help people use it so they don't feel like I'm cheating because I remember one of my own children saying, I can't use this. I feel like I'm cheating. We don't feel like we're cheating when we go to Google because it's just there. I need to find information. So I go to Google. If I need to find information on how to fix something in my house, I go to YouTube. We use it as a resource. ChatGPT is a resource to make you better, faster, and more efficient. I just feel like we get left behind. And I will tell you right now, ChatGPT is probably the best place for research. It will give me all of the articles, give me the latest articles in how real estate is using ChatGPT or GAI, generative AI.
So
And
it reads your.
it's finding the articles. It's putting them it's giving me a summary of the article, AI generating property descriptions, AI in property search analysis, AI driven marketing operations. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a real estate agent or you're in education and you want kids to be like, go find and go to ChatGPT and find 3 articles on what you're working on right now, read it, and then throw them back into ChatGPT and have it summarized. Why am I wasting my time? Like, you should read it, yes, but you can have ChatGPT read it to you too.
And here's what I like about what you're saying. And I'm also thinking that maybe we'll come back and show everybody how we're consistently using AI or what our go-to is, just because I think we should stay here. Um, as a student in high school, when I would have to read, now knowing what I know, I just was, sometimes I just wasn't grasping the information.
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
the learning component, I think for, the schools you were saying that are concerned about kids cheating, is you let them read it and then you have them put it into AI to summarize it down to a level that student can understand. And then, okay, I get it. Now they understand what they just read.
Okay, you just said something that every teacher would want to know. I'm gonna use the word it scaffolded it. It did it for the level of the complexity, it changed the difficulty, like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, college. The complexity is still there. They're reading content at their age level, like, but maybe it's like the language is like, oh, I don't understand that word. There's so many things. And the reason why I brought up real estate is because home buyers, savvy home buyers, I can do my own market analysis. So if you're not
You
using,
can, it's a little dated because
it might be
multiple
dated,
listing service isn't, you get,
but let me finish this thought. The reason why I'm telling real estate agents or educators or people in business that they need to know how to do this is because if they don't know how to do this, the savvy
consumer.
consumer is going to tell you, well, I already did that. You have to be able to say, yes, but that data is going to be old, and let me tell you why. Let me show you why it's old, what you ChatGPT will tell you, and let me show you why mine is more current. Because if you can't argue that, there's no reason for them to use you. Like, you have to be able to have the knowledge. It's the same in any arena. If you don't know what you don't know, somebody else knows it, and they're going to make it up as they go.
And we don't want you to make it up as you go because, and that's why the other key component of this is real estate agents, educators need to keep showing up to learn. You need to learn what you're teaching. You need to learn what you're explaining to the public. You need to learn it, but you also need to leverage AI because if you don't, ditto what everything you just said, the consumer is going to probably feel like they know just as much as you because they're going to bullet point it and they're going to go create the market analysis. They're going to go do the research. They're going to know everything they need to do. And hence why some buyers right now are choosing to represent themselves because they have this. And I can argue why you don't want to and why you don't want to just use AI because there is a component of the person that's been working in a market forever. But I'm not saying they shouldn't use this. I am saying that right now, our data is not public this way, but you can best believe that everyone wants access to the open source. They want open source multiple listing service data. So you can best believe everybody in ChatGPT is trying to get it.
Yeah. And if
So you
no,
need to
but I
know,
just
you need to be able to explain what's happening in the market. But I can tell you that even if a consumer came to AI, their data might be 6 months old because you still got to buy the big companies out there. Like Zillow is a real estate company, Redfin's a real estate company, Realtor.com is not a real estate company in the sense of working with buyers and sellers. They work with real estate professionals. Same with Homes.com. They get the data, but they have to get it from the multiple listing service, and then they also have to buy data from the assessor or the county or the state. They got to buy the data, so they're not getting it as fast. But you could best believe everybody's trying to get it direct.
right. And the unfortunate or fortunate thing is that there are people out there that know how to use ChatGPT because we've been using it for 2 years. And you have to start somewhere. Everyone's new at something everybody's new at everything the first time you do it. So getting in here and playing, like when you were talking, I am still on the same platform. I asked it to use Canvas, which by the way is you can look for the tools down here. I could have just selected it, but Canvas allowed me to edit the same thing and say, use Canvas and show me the data in Illinois on the right and articles. I didn't even look at that. Didn't even put a space there, but now it's focused only on the right here. It's focused on Illinois. And it wrote everything here for me as well. And I can manipulate this. The reason why I'm showing you this is because I can manipulate this, and because you said if you were in school, you would want it to make it accessible for how you read. And some people, we believe everybody can read at some academic level. Most newspapers
I
and
need
news
it down to a fifth grade level every time.
but most of them are between fourth and sixth grade level anyway. And Shakespeare is, it's abstract and all those things. It's like, I don't understand that. Oh, no one's reading back in that era anymore, even though the information might be good information. You can take this and say, I can adjust this by reading level, like graduate school, kindergarten, like that.
Yeah, let's
That's
go to
what,
kindergarten.
like middle school. So, and the thing is that people think that, oh, I don't need to read it at a kindergarten level. Well, if you want to read something about real estate, and even today, if I wanted to buy a house, I feel lost.
Well, wait a minute,
Don't
but
forget that.
wait. And what's interesting is that because even like right now, I'm working with a couple of clients, and I'm like, I teach the agents, but sometimes when you're actually working with the public, you have to realize they don't think the way we think. They're not doing it every day. So you do have to come, it could be kindergarten, but the other thing is I don't know if that's editing that or changing it. Oh, it did it in kindergarten level, is what you just showed, an agent that wants to give back to their community, the agent that wants to go and do a talk with the kids because their kid is in kindergarten and they're doing the come talk about what you do for a living. This is the talk to the kids. This is the volunteer effort at the elementary school, the middle school, the high school, the college. You can you could write a
You can
little
go
kids
to,
book.
oh my gosh, elementary teachers, middle and high school teachers want you to come in and talk about the history of real estate. History teachers, you go in and and especially if they're doing a unit on inequities and things like that, which is probably a swear word around the country at this point. But the point is that you can integrate where we were and where we are today, and why it's important to buy immediately when you graduate from high school, if you save your money now, and how you can actually buy right away if you were working all the way through high school and you have, a few grand in your bank account. It tells you like all of these things. And this may, even though I'm reading this is almost like how I would explain it to kindergartners, because I'm going to tell you, not all kindergartners could read this and understand it. It's not necessarily reading it. It's not kindergartners reading it and understanding. There's a difference. It's putting it at a kindergarten level for you to understand, because kindergartners don't read like they don't, unless they have a parent that's in real estate or something and they talk about it all the time. That's not their wheelhouse. Because if a kid has a parent that has a background in bio, because I remember my professor, for example, she and her husband were both bio teachers, both my professors, and they had a daughter in kindergarten with my oldest son. And she could tell me all about the different types of spiders. She could list them, but she didn't know what she was talking about, but she still had academic knowledge because her parents would talk to her about it. So the point is that you use this to help you explain it to others. It doesn't mean that somebody else could read it and still understand it. Use it to help you help others, because because it's new knowledge.
Okay. I almost think that's a great way to end.
Why not? Because dang, like it's a whole lot.
So thanks for joining us for another episode of Twinfluence. Take a second and subscribe right now. Invite a friend to the next live event. I'm Carrie Little. I am a broker owner in Illinois and Florida for Caremark Realty Group. You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, even X. I am Carrie Jo Little everywhere.
And I am Dr. Mina. And if you want to follow me, go to YouTube at MJ Blasey, everywhere else, Mina J. Blasey. And remember to comment, because when you let us know what you're doing with artificial intelligence, then we know how to respond in the future.